Have you ever considered becoming a homemaker, but you're not really sure what it actually means? Or do you hear the term biblical homemaker, but you're not really sure what the Bible actually says about homemaking? Well, that has been my case. I always knew that I wanted to be a homemaker, but I never really knew what that role as a homemaker really meant and how God sees the role of a homemaker. So I decided to dive into the Bible and to see what does God say about homemaking and what does a biblical homemaker actually mean. So let me share with you today what I found. Hey, my name is Stephanie. I'm a mom to 3 kids and I am a true homebody. I love everything about being a homemaker and it's something that I always wanted to be. And today I wanted to dive into the role of being a biblical homemaker and being a biblical mother, because I really do think and I know that God sees the role of a homemaker as something that is extremely important. But today I want to share with you how and why I think that is true. And yeah, let's just dive into all the things that I've learned. Now, in order to understand what a biblical homemaker is, we actually need to define the word homemaker itself, because what is a homemaker? Well, it certainly is not just being a maid and cleaning the house. Being a homemaker means that you make the home. You make the house into a home. And how do you do that? Well, of course you need to clean, but it is so much more than cleaning and cooking, because cooking one meal is one thing. Okay, you cook a meal, you put it on the table, and there's that, have fun. But when you actually put effort into it, you make sure that you choose the right ingredients, you turn it into a beautiful, delicious, nutritious meal, and you make sure that you put a lot of effort in, your family enjoys it, you create maybe even a fun place at the table with candles and nice plates, or whatever effort you want to put into it. That is what makes it very pleasant and makes it into a home, basically. So cooking a meal is one thing, but putting all that effort into it, that is what makes it into a beautiful thing to create for your family. And that is the same thing with your house. You can vacuum the floor and you can do it with a grumpy face and it's not going to bless anybody. But cleaning the floors and actually vacuuming and making sure that everything looks nice, and you want to make it a place where your family can safely be in, where your baby can crawl on the floor and doesn't get anything into his mouth, things like that. When you think through it and when you really put effort into making your house a clean and fun and comfortable and safe place to be, it is actually making your home. And that is what the role of a homemaker is, and it's a really important role. And I wanted to read you a quote because it is something that I came across when I did my research for this video, and it really spoke to me, because being at home doesn't necessarily mean you're a homemaker. Being a homemaker is truly about your heart, and it's about what you put into it, what is the effort you put into it, and why do you do this? That is what makes you a homemaker, not necessarily being at home. So I wanted to read you that quote. Christian homemaking is far more than merely staying at home. Some women who do not want to work outside of the house do not work inside the house either. They park the kids in front of the TV, pursue their own interests all day, and the husband comes home to a filthy house, unwashed laundry, kids eating chips off the floor, and mom being on the phone with friends. That is not homemaking. That is not working. I really love how this person phrased it, because being just being at home doesn't make you a homemaker. Being home means that you can just do all the things that entails being a homemaker, but it doesn't mean you're actually going to do it. Because if you do not want to work outside of the house and you just think, you know what, I'm just going to be a homemaker because I just want to be at home all day, that doesn't make you a homemaker. That just makes you lazy. And God doesn't like laziness. And if you don't know anything about laziness, that is in the Bible. I will link my video that I did recently in the card above and in the description below. But God doesn't like laziness. So if you don't want to work and you think, okay, I'm just going to stay home because I don't want to work, you're not a homemaker, you're just lazy. And that is not the role that God gave women. It has a lot more to do with what do you put into it and how do you look at your home and what is your heart behind it, like I said. So a good homemaker actually sees it as her job to take care of her home and her family. So it is not just cleaning, but it's actually you take care of your family, you take care of your house. making sure that your oven is cleaned on a regular basis. Make sure that you can, one, cook healthy meals in it, because having all the junk in your oven will make your meals a lot less pleasant to eat. It will also make sure that you can use your oven for a lot longer, because you make sure that you take good care of it. So being a homemaker is actually taking care of the things that God has given you, and that is such a beautiful role, and it's such an important role as well. So does it mean you never have to do any laundry, you never have to do the dishes, or whatever? No, of course it doesn't. That is all part of being a homemaker, but it's all about why do you do it and what is your heart behind it. And I've mentioned this verse before, but it has everything to do with the verse in Colossians 3:23, where it says that you do everything as unto the Lord. So when you clean your house, you do it because you love your family and you love God. You want to do this because you want to take care of everything that God has given you. And we recently had a conversation with our children that everything that we can think of on this planet is a gift from God. Everything that we have is actually God's. He gave it to us to take care of, but it is God's gift to us. And we really, if you think about it, as a Christian and as a biblical homemaker, you want to take care of all the things that God has given you. If He gave you a super precious gift, you would take care of it. You would be very gentle with it. And that is what God has given you. He has given you a house to take care of. He has given you maybe even a family. He has given you a lot of things in this life. He has given you a body that you take care of. Taking care of that is actually doing things as unto the Lord, because it is something that He gave to you. It is something that is His, because without His breath, you wouldn't even be here. So everything that we have is God's. So everything that we do is for Him and through Him. And that is just such a beautiful way to look at your homemaking, that whenever you do the laundry and you feel like, oh, another piece of underwear, when is it gonna stop? Well, you can also think of it as, I am so thankful. We have money to buy clothes. We have a washing machine. I don't have to do it as in the old days and have to spend the entire day doing my laundry. I have a family to take care of. I have family that I can clothe, that I can buy things for. I have a house where I can do the laundry, and I have a garden where my laundry can hang outside. Things like that. It makes you so aware of being thankful and how everything that you have is from God. And that is what a biblical homemaker truly does. She just makes sure that everything that she does it as unto the Lord, but she also reminds herself on a daily basis that you really have to, or you really want to, be thankful for everything that God has given you. And it doesn't mean you're perfect. Obviously, not every time I'm folding my laundry, I am thankful for all the amounts of socks that we have, or all the dirty underwear that I come across. I'm not always saying thanks for every single piece that goes through my hands, but I am reminding myself constantly that it is important to really be thankful. Whenever I find myself being grumpy or complaining about anything, I just remind myself, hey, Steph, this is something that is super, it is such a gift that you actually get to do laundry. You don't have to spend the entire day doing laundry because you don't live in the 1800s, or you have a family to take care of. There are so many women that would love to have a family. Be thankful for what you have. And always coming back to that point of, okay, I am grumpy for doing something that is actually something to be very thankful for. That is really such a blessing to always do that. And that is, in my opinion, something that a biblical homemaker often does, making sure that everything that you do is unto the Lord, and you realize that everything that you have is from the Lord. Now, there are a few Bible verses that really talk about homemaking and also about taking good care of things that you have. And one of those verses is the Titus 2 verse. If you know anything about biblical homemaking or being a mom, you probably know the Titus 2 woman. That is something that really comes up a lot in Google or YouTube or anything. It's Proverbs 31 and Titus 2. And Titus 2 is a beautiful verse, and it actually literally says that it's really good to take care of your house. Listen to what the verse says. Then they can urge the younger women to love their husbands and children. So first off, we need to love our husband and children, to be self-controlled and pure, to be busy at home, so not lazy, to be kind, and to be subject to their husbands, so that no one will malign the word of God. And what I love about that verse, it says busy at home, but it also is translated as being a keeper of the home or a manager of the home. And being a keeper of the home is being a homemaker. So I really love that it actually says that women need to love their husbands and children, need to be self-controlled and pure, and need to take care of their house. Those are all traits that God really loves to see in women. And I think it's really important to always strive to become like that. It has a lot of similarities to the Proverbs 31 woman, where I'm not going to read the entire scripture from Proverbs 31, but it talks about all the things that a true virtuous woman has. And it is also about being busy, doing things, being pure, being self-controlled, not being lazy, which is also another thing that comes up in Proverbs 31. So as a homemaker, you cannot be lazy. You need to be busy at home. Keep your hands busy, always making sure that your house looks good, that you have healthy meals, that you take care of your children, take care of your husband, all those things that are actually, it is really biblical to make sure that you have a nice house. And it doesn't mean that you need to lose control of other things, that you can never work outside the house or things like that. But the main focus of a biblical homemaker is making sure that you take care of your house. Yes, you can work outside of the house, but a lot of times being a homemaker is such a big job already. And especially when you have children, or even when you homeschool your children, it is such a big job already that usually a lot of women don't really have time to work outside the house. I wouldn't know how I ever could work outside of the house with 3 kids, homeschooling, homemaking, and all the things that I have to do. I don't know if I even have the time to work outside the house. So it doesn't mean you can't. It just means that your first priority should always be your home and your family. And that is why a lot of women choose to be a stay-at-home mom, because you just don't have the time to work outside the house. And then there's another verse that is not necessarily about being a homemaker, but I do really love it because it says in Proverbs, Proverbs 24, verse 3-4, it says, by wisdom, a house is built. And wisdom has everything to do with being just a biblical woman. So reading through the word and getting God's wisdom on how do I live my life? How do I become more like Christ? How do I take care of my home? And by wisdom, a house is built. So because we stay close to God, because we stay connected to God, we can actually build our house and we can turn it into a home. And that is something that I actually really love. So I just wanted to put that verse in there as well, because it is just really beautiful to see that when we stay close and when we stay connected to God, when we take our quiet time, when we spend time with Him in prayer, being thankful, and all the things that are important as a woman, we can actually build our house and we can turn it into a home. And that is just, it's just beautiful. Now, all these verses simply imply that being a homemaker is just such a beautiful role that God has given us. And it's not something that is useless or it's a waste of time, because it is such an important job that God has given us. And being a homemaker is the center of our society. The quote that I put at the beginning of this video by C.S. Lewis actually also says the same thing. It is something where the entire world is built around, because if you have a solid home base, you can do a lot of things and your children can accomplish a lot of things because they have a solid home. And I think it is just one of the most important jobs that a woman can ever have, is to be a homemaker. Now, to conclude all this, I really wanted to read a little bit, just a tiny part of this book. It is called Seasons of a Mother's Heart, and it's by Sally Clarkson. And it's actually for homeschooling mothers, but there was a part in this that really spoke to my heart. And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna read that, because it is just, it really speaks to me on how I see being a homemaker. And even though I maybe could have done a lot of things outside of the house, I do not see this as wasted time. So I wanted to read that to you. I gave up my own desires and sacrificed my gifts and talents so that new life may come from me. I am buried in the rich soil of housework, homeschooling, character training, disciplining, and the responsibilities of making a home. Yet for many women in my generation, my decision to stay at home for my children is a fruitless sacrifice, a waste of feminine intelligence and abilities. For me, though, it is only a small sacrifice, if by it I may send my children into the next generation, bursting with spiritual life and ready to change the world for Christ. Fruitless sacrifice? Only by the world's standards. By God's standards, it's an eternally worthy sacrifice that will yield a harvest of righteousness. And I just really loved how she phrased it, because it is so true. It is not a fruitless sacrifice. Raising your children to become the next generation for Christ that is going to take over the world is such an important job. So I wanted to encourage you with that. I hope this was helpful for you to see what it really means to be a biblical homemaker. Does it mean that you have to walk around with your Bible in your hand all day? No, it does not, but it means that you are going to live your life thankful and doing everything with and through God. So that is what I wanted to encourage you with today, and I hope you found this helpful. Now, if this video has been helpful to you, I would love for you to comment and to let me know what you think of your role as a homemaker, how you see your life as a biblical homemaker and what it means to you. And I would love to see you in my next video.